National Park. Have we done one in Yellowstone?
We have not done a Yellowstone.
I was trying to think. I'm like, I don't think we have.
No, we've done I think Grand Tetons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have done that one.
Yeah. So anyone who is not familiar with Wyoming, Yellowstone is just north of Grand Tetons. So if you've hiked Grand Tetons, it's not the same. Yellowstone, I've driven through it. I've hiked the Tetons. I've never hiked in Yellowstone, but I've driven through it. It's looks similar in a lot of ways, but it's definitely on my list.
Yep.
Add it to the list.
They're all on the list.
And I think, can you look
I
up?
said Shoshone, didn't I?
I think it's Shoshone.
It's Shoshone. I added a little flair at the end.
Yeah, you just in a
just a piece of flair.
Fancy mood today.
Yeah. So the location is the Shoshone Lake area. Just some facts about Yellowstone. It is 2.2 million square
acres.
Similar to the size of Puerto Rico. Yellowstone was the first national park in the U.S. and is also widely held to be one of the first national parks in the world. I think we're the first ones to come up with national parks, so that would make sense.
That is acres.
Acres. Okay. The park is known for its wildlife and many geothermal features, especially the Old Faithful Geyser, one of its most popular. Yellowstone Lake is one of the largest high-elevation lakes in North America and is centered over the Yellowstone caldera, the largest supervolcano on the continent, which when it blows, it won't matter where you live.
No.
The caldera is considered a dormant volcano. It has erupted with tremendous force several times in the last 2 million years. Yeah, what do they say? They'll take out most of the mountain range in Midwest if that explodes?
Yeah, it wouldn't be good. I watched a documentary on it a long time ago, and thankfully, they don't expect it to blow in our lifetimes or our kids, or probably in dozens of lifetimes.
Yeah.
So,
or maybe can we like poke some holes in there and relieve some steam ahead of time? Yeah, drill a couple holes, maybe a few more geysers to let the steam off.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. Shoshone Lake is 8,050 acres, and it has an elevation of 7,795 feet. So Lake Geneva, which is Mike's hometown, is about 5,400 acres. So
I put that in there.
Significantly bigger.
Pretty much everyone listening will have no clue about Lake Geneva, but I
think we have a pretty big Milwaukee following.
Maybe I wanted to put some context of how, like, just for myself, how big this lake is, because Lake Geneva, if you've ever been on it, it's big. A big lake.
Big.
So
it's like 5,400 acres. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's a big one.
So max depth of Shoshone is 205 feet. The water temperature never exceeds the upper 40s. Oy.
It's cold.
Yeah. Storms can also whip up quickly, making kayaking difficult and life-threatening.
They don't allow boats or like any motorized traffic on the lake. So
really, is it just too treacherous?
I think it's there's no
preserve it.
There's no roads to it. You can only get to it by foot. So that's probably a main reason. But
yeah, probably the main reason is no one's going to carry it in by hand.
But obviously they want to just preserve it. It's a backcountry lake. It's one of the biggest in the country.
All right. It's also the largest backcountry lake in the lower 48, and it's only accessible by foot. There we go. DeLacy Creek flows south from DeLacy Lakes to Shoshone Lake. The Lewis River drains Shoshone and Lewis Lakes and is a tributary of Snake River. Where is it? The park resides mostly in the northwest corner of Wyoming, with small parts extending into Montana and Idaho. Shoshone Lake is in the southwest section of the park in Wyoming. For those listening, I do have it pulled up on Google Maps. It was established on March 1st in 1872 and sees roughly 3.8 million visitors per year.
That was 20.
Yeah, it's 2021.
The rankings from 2021.
So it's ranked number 12 of all the national parks. So the human history of the park began at least 11,000 years ago when Native Americans began to hunt and fish in the region. During the construction of the post office in Gardner, Montana in the 1950s, an obsidian point of Clovis origin was found that dated approximately 11,000 years ago. So obsidian is a type of rock, and they use those to hunt. So they're made with like little spears and stuff.
Yeah.
These Paleo Indians of the Clovis culture used the significant amount of obsidian found in the park to make cutting tools and weapons. Arrowheads made of Yellowstone obsidian have been found as far away as the Mississippi Valley, indicating that a regular obsidian trade existed between local tribes and tribes farther east. Obsidian is such a cool rock. It's
What's
like
it
all
look
black.
like?
It's all shiny black.
All shiny black.
Yeah. It's really
I'm sure
neat.
I've seen it.
Or it could be like, I think I've seen red. The red one's a little different. There's some rock that's super like deep red, and I'm colorblind, so I'm always like, is it red, black? I don't know. So interesting facts about Yellowstone. It's officially became a national park 18 years before Wyoming or Idaho, and 17 years before Montana were granted statehood. So this was a park before the states that it existed in.
I did not know that
were states.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's cool.
That is cool. People tend to assume that Yellowstone got its name from the vivid yellow color seen in the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. As it turns out, however, the park's moniker stems from the sandstone along the Yellowstone River in eastern Montana, which is actually several hundred miles downstream and northeast of the park. So it's adjacent to yellow things.
A lot of names of stuff that you think relate to that thing are actually from other parts.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we're going to name it Yellowstone from this river that's hundreds of miles away.
Yeah. Like just cause. Like they could have just lied, man. Like, yeah, yellow trees.
Yeah.
At Yellowstone's nightly,
this is hilarious.
At Yellowstone's nightly bear shows, which ran from about 1890 to World War II, visitors would come and watch black and grizzly bears eat the park's garbage. They even built bleachers for this event.
I had no idea they did stuff like that. I mean, obviously, it's terrible for the bears, and
I didn't understand that yet.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, come check it out.
Can you imagine if they did something like that today?
Just a garbage bait pile.
Yeah, they just have a landfill, and then all the bears would come and eat.
And then you just pull up your car and watch bears eating garbage and take pictures.
Wow.
Bison are one of the park's biggest draws, especially when they congregate on the roads, causing bison jams. The herds in Yellowstone are special as they've lived in the park continuously since prehistoric times. That's really cool. The park is situated over a supervolcano that is capable of a magnitude 8 eruption. This is what we talked about earlier. In fact, the supervolcano has had 3 massive eruptions, the first occurring some 2.1 million years ago. While the volcano remains active today, geologists are constantly monitoring it, you know, because like they'll warn us and we won't be able to do anything anyway.
Yeah.
Like I know that job is important, but monitoring that volcano, how important is it? Like to warn people in Australia to go underground? Because that's the only thing that will matter.
Right.
Molten rock below the Earth's crust, known as magma, is estimated to be just 3 to 8 miles beneath Sour Creek Dome and 8 to 12 miles beneath Mallard Lake Dome. I'm assuming that is not deep.
No,
which is why they would state it that way.
It was called out. Yeah, I'm not a expert in volcanoes.
Geologist.
Yeah, but
or volcanologist.
I think that is pretty shallow.
Yeah, it sounds shallow.
Yes.
According to the U.S. Department of Interior, the park is tasked with preserving more than 10,000 hydrothermal features, including hot springs, geysers, fumaroles, mud pots, and travertine terraces. This is roughly half of the world's hydrothermal features. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah. And for most of these, you're not allowed to go in because
you'll die.
Get killed. Yeah.
And people do every year go off the path. And
your next trivia actually talks about that.
Okay. Yellowstone's hot springs are so hot and acidic that they can dissolve a human body in a single day. In 2016, a visitor fell into Yellowstone hot springs, and 24 hours later, his body dissolved. Yep. Leave no trace.
Yeah.
Or Yellowstone will do it for you.
Yeah.
The vibrant colors you see in the park come from trillions of microorganisms called thermophiles. These microorganisms, which love the heat and are impossible to see with the naked eye, come together to create vibrant mats of color that give thermal features like hot springs and geysers that bright look. That's cool. That's where all those colors come from.
Yeah, it's all like bacteria.
Microorganisms.
Yep.
There are an estimated of 1,850 archaeological sites in the park, some of which show that people began traveling through the area more than 11,000 years ago. Now let's talk about the climate. Yellowstone's climate is greatly influenced by altitude, with lower elevations generally found in the warmer year-round. The record high temperature of 99 degrees in 2002, while the coldest temperature recorded was negative 66 degrees in 1933.
Sounds like Wisconsin weather.
Yeah, it does. It's going to be like 70 tomorrow and then 30 4 days later.
Yeah.
During the summer months of June to early September, daytime highs are normally in the 70 to 80 degree range, while at night time the lows can go below freezing, especially at higher altitudes. Summer afternoons are frequently accompanied by thunderstorms. Spring and fall temperatures range between 30 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit, with nights in the teens to single digits. So it can be pretty chilly.
Yeah.
It's like fall here, warm in the sun, cold at night.
Yep.
Winter in Yellowstone is accompanied by high temperatures, usually between 0 and 20 degrees, and nighttime temperatures below 0 for most of winter. Precipitation in Yellowstone is highly variable and ranges from 15 inches annually near Mammoth Hot Spring to 80 inches in the southwestern section of the park. That's a huge flux.
Yeah.
It's a big park, but it's still pretty close and has a big flux. The precipitation of Yellowstone is greatly influenced by the moisture channel formed by the Snake River Plain to the west that was in turn formed by Yellowstone itself. Snow is possible in any month of the year, but most common between November and April, with averages of 150 inches annually around Yellowstone Lake to twice that amount at higher elevations. Tornadoes in Yellowstone are rare. However, on July 21st of 1987, the most powerful tornado recorded in Wyoming touched down in the Teton Wilderness of Bridger Teton National Forest and hit Yellowstone National Park. That'd be pretty wild to see, actually.
Can you imagine seeing a tornado in Yellowstone?
It'd probably be an amazing picture.
Yeah.
Like to capture the beauty of Yellowstone with like a twister in the background.
I'll Google to see if anyone
see if they have like a
did.
photo. Because they said in the 87, yeah, there's a good chance they had somebody that got a picture.
I mean, in July, there'd be lots of tourists. And
yeah, maybe. Called the Teton Yellowstone tornado, it was classified as an F4. Okay, so that was legit, with wind speeds estimated between 207 and 260 miles per hour. The tornado left a path of destruction 1 to 2 miles wide and 24 miles long, and leveled 15,000 acres of mature pine forest. In June 2022, the park closed entrances and evacuated visitors after experiencing record-level rainfall and flooding that caused multiple roads and bridge failures, power outages, and mudslides.
I remember that on the news. I think the park's still kind of messed up from that.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I guess it was just in June. I thought it was longer ago. It was just earlier this year.
Yeah, it's still probably messed up.
Yeah, I think they closed a huge chunk of the park which they've never done before.
A combination of heavy rain and rapid snowmelt resulted in the Yellowstone River rising to a new record height at 13.88 feet, breaking a previous record of 11.5 feet. So it's 2 feet higher, roughly. Set in 1918, flooding on the Lamar River reached 16.7 feet, beating a 1996 record of 12 feet. Damage from the flooding, including washed out roads and bridges, and damage to infrastructure systems, including electricity, water, and wastewater systems. Yeah, I bet that's still pretty messed up.
Yeah.
So some of the peaks in Yellowstone, the tallest, Eagle Peak at 11,371 feet, Mount Schurz at 11,000 feet, and Abather and Atkins Peak at 10,928 feet.
And I put in here the tree line in Yellowstone is roughly between 9,000 and 10,000 feet, just so if you are doing some like summits, you are going to be above the tree line and exposed.
Okay. Here are some of the animals, and before the show, Mike mentioned that it's kind of like all the worst animals possible.
Yeah,
I mean, you're going to run into them. You have badgers, black bears, grizzly bears, bobcats, cougars, Canadian lynx, coyote, gray wolf, red fox, wolverines, bison, elk, bighorn sheep, moose, bald eagles, golden eagles, osprey, peregrine falcons, bull snakes, and prairie rattlesnakes.
And that was just, I listed some of the, just some of the animals you're going to find.
Yeah, there's more animals.
Hundreds of mammals.
But those are some main ones.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that will gore you, shred you, and then when you're laying on the ground dying, bite you.
Have you seen, to go off on a little tangent, the National Park Service, I think it's Yellowstone or Grand Teton, they're telling visitors to stop licking the toads. There's psychedelic toads in the park. Or they have if you lick them, you get like psychedelic experience.
Oh, I think I've heard about this.
But it's like everybody's doing it right now, and they had to release a statement. Did you see? I'm
gonna look up Yellowstone toad licking. Let's see what. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
ABC News. The National Park Service really wants people to stop. Let me read this whole headline. This will be good. The National Park Service really wants people to stop licking this toad. They have a little black and white picture of the toad just staring at the camera. The common adage of all visitors before going to Yellowstone goes something like this. Remember, folks, this isn't Disneyland. These animals will kill you. To emphasize this point, there's signs throughout America's national parks not to touch or feed the wildlife. Now there's another commandment. Please do not lick the toads or make any tongue contact at all. The Sonoran toad, also known as a river toad, is one of the largest toads found in North America, 7 inches. Yada, yada, yada. The toxins make people sick if they touch a toad or especially somehow poison in their mouth. So why are they licking it?
Maybe it's
however, this toad's toxic coating also contains a powerful hallucinogenic known as, it's 5-MeO-DMT. Yeah, colloquially, I can't say that. I can never say that word. Colloquially, I still can't. I know how to say it, but I can't. That's a tongue
Everyone
twister.
will know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, known as the 5-methoxy. Yeah, 5-MeO. If you listen to Joe Rogan, you've heard of 5-MeO-DMT. I'm going to put this in the language. Colloquially. Yeah, I can't say it. That one I will never get right. And so, I knew how to say it, and I still couldn't say it.
This is just funny because I was researching this episode, and this article came out a day ago about people licking this toad because it gives you, you hallucinate.
A statement from the National Park Service. Hey there, here is the riveting late night content no one asked for, yet here we are, the National Park Service wrote in a Facebook post. As we say with most things you come across in the national park, whether it be banana slug, unfamiliar mushroom, or large toad with glowing eyes in the dead of night, please refrain from licking. Thank you.
Banana slugs. Remember those from a couple episodes ago? They're out in like Olympic, and people were licking them.
You know what's funny about this? I'm sure it's backfiring because the people who were going to do it are going to still do it.
Yeah.
And now they just announced that you can do this to all the people that didn't know. So then they're going to be like, oh, you can get DMT from licking this toad?
Joe and I obviously don't.
Leave no trace. Don't touch the toads.
Condone this.
But that's where sometimes you should just kind of shut up because we didn't know about this. Now we know about this.
Yeah.
So how many thousands of people didn't?
The thing you got to think about is you have no idea how this is going to react to your body, and you could be days out and have no react.
Get paralyzed or something.
Or get paralyzed. Probably you're going to die because there's no way they're going to get you back to a hospital in time. So just take their advice and do not lick the toads.
Yeah, don't lick the toads in Yellowstone. All right, back to the drinking water. As a safeguard against Giardia, other parasites and bacteria, they recommend that you boil, filter, or chemically treat all the water. Can be polluted by human animal waste, and you can get infections.
That's
as I
good
said
advice.
In another episode, you'll go number 3 until you're out of water.
That's good advice anytime you're hiking anywhere.
Yeah.
Just filter,
follow Dave Matthews' song, Don't Drink the Water. Hypothermia is always an issue, especially in an area that can be wet and cold. So rain, wind, sleet, and snow can be deadly if proper precautions are not taken, or you're wearing cotton, things like that, or jeans and cotton shirts while you're all wet is not good. So you want to make sure you have rain gear and clothes that do shed the water and help keep the water away from your body. Hats and gloves, all the things that conserve body heat. Stream crossings, as we say in multiple shows. A few of Yellowstone's rivers or streams have bridges that many cannot be accessed until July or later. Even in late summer, water levels can rise quickly after rainstorms or from snowmelt on high country in the warm afternoons. This water can be cold, fast, and more than thigh deep, making attempts to cross perilous. So trying to ford deep, swift water has resulted in loss of gear, injury, and death. So you want to make sure you're checking your itinerary, making sure you're looking at your topographical maps for stream crossings. If you are going to attempt to cross, don't have your stuff attached to you.
Best thing you do is you stop in the ranger station and just check on local conditions. They keep track of all of that, and they'll tell you if they're passable or not.
Absolutely.
So,
thermal features. So this is unique to this park.
We've never covered these before.
Yeah, so no one can complain about repeats here. Burns from thermal features are a common cause of serious injury and death in the park. Check at the ranger station before you go exploring. Foot travel in all thermal areas must be confined to the boardwalks or maintain trails that are marked by official signs. So if you follow the rules and you listen to us and leave no trace, you should be fine. Don't approach or shortcut through geyser basins after dark when they're in the greater danger of stepping into a hot spring. For your safety and for your protection of thermal features in Yellowstone, it is illegal to swim or bathe in any water that is entirely of thermal origin.
But people continue to do it every year, and sadly,
that's Darwin working.
At least once a year, we read a story about someone who fell into one of them, and I can't think of a more painful way to go.
Well, some of them survive. They've fallen for a second and get out, and they are like permanently disfigured from like melting. Like your skin starts to melt. You're in boiling water.
And most of these are people who broad daylight left the boardwalk. If you ever seen,
they go to take a picture.
Yeah, and they try to get too close and they slip in.
Yep.
Or they drop their phone in. There was an article I read of a lady who dropped her phone in and she tried to go after it.
Yeah.
So just stay away from them.
So outside of killing yourself, you can also destroy the area. So those hot springs contain the algae, bacteria, and fungi found nowhere else in the world. So soaking or wading in the springs can destroy those life forms. Throwing objects like rocks or sticks in the thermal features is prohibited, since doing so can clog the vents and alter the flow and temperature of the water. So you want to leave no trace. Yes. Just leave it alone so it can be beautiful for everyone else to see till it explodes and kills everyone.
That also means, like, don't pick stuff up and throw it around either.
Yeah.
Like, don't throw rocks into, the
whole leave no trace is to, like, pretend you're not there ever.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. If you could hover, then you could even do even better, but you leave footprints. So that's why they have the trails.
Yes.
So ticks and mosquitoes from mid-March to mid-July, grassy, brushy, low elevation areas are ideal tick habitats in Yellowstone. So you want to wear repellents, even on your shoes and socks, to keep them from climbing all over you, tucking in your pant legs, things like that. You can get diseases from ticks that last a lifetime.
Lyme's disease.
Lyme's disease. You do not want it. It's not fun. Mosquitoes are in the area, so you want to make sure you're always keeping against them. You can wear netting and things like that. It just makes for a better time.
Yeah.
Yellowstone's trails may be hard to follow due to infrequent use. It's a big park. There's missing markers in places, recent fires, large meadows, mudslides. Trails are not clear, so it's strongly recommended that people carry a compass and a map and know how to use them. So we'll talk a little bit about the weather issues. So Yellowstone can experience winter-like weather any time of the year. So calm sunny mornings can abruptly turn into fierce stormy days. Gusty south to southwest winds are common in the afternoon. So rain and lightning often follow if you're hiking or boating. When storms approach, you need to get off the water. If you're on an open ridge, if you're above the tree line, as Mike mentioned earlier, you want to get to better protection. So nighttime temperatures can drop to 30s and 40s. So if you have a rainy day followed by a cold night, that's where we can, again, talk about that hypothermia.
Yeah.
Depending on the elevation, temperatures may even fall into the 20s with light freeze even in July. So summer daytime temperatures are usually in the 70s to 80s. June can be a cool and rainy. July and August tend to be drier with the afternoon thunderstorms common. So what's the difficulty here? Like most national parks, there's dozens of hikes ranging from very easy to extremely hard. Yellowstone has a lot to offer no matter your experience level. So according to All Trails, the most popular hikes, 85 are listed as easy, 127 are listed as moderate, and 55 are listed as hard. So it's kind of like make your own story.
Yeah.
It can be as easy or as difficult as you want. If you aren't prepared, you can do quick stuff, visit the park ranger's desk.
Car hike almost. Basically, you drive
hike
to the visitor center and you hike around for a couple hours.
Yeah, go to places where it's like a couple feet, see some things. Don't go into the backcountry, stuff like that.
So, a lot of, older people too, people like grandparent age will just drive the roads of the park because they don't want to go hiking.
And you get out and take pictures with the bison.